Hello, my beautiful crafty friends. I'm here today to do a flip through of April Storm Paper Studios' Gilded Hearts of Paris kit and start on a folio project. I'm Trisha Clark with Sparkle Farts Paper Crafts, and I'm a member of April Storm's design team. And so she just released this new kit, Gilded Hearts of Paris. And this has 18 ephemera pages, 13 journal pages, 4 backgrounds, several writing, all kinds of great stuff in this shabby chic vibe. And I wanted to do a flip through of most of the kit. I haven't printed all the ephemera, but what I do have is going to give you a really good feel for the kit. And then we're going to attempt to make this folio that I made my rough prototype of earlier, but honestly messed it up. But we've got a 1/2-inch spine here, and it's going to fold out like this and like this. So fun ideas, but this is the rough prototype. I think we're ready to build that out. And then I'll come back at a second video where we will decorate everything. So without further ado, let's go through the kit. Gilded Hearts of Paris. This is a really cool kit. It really is a story of this debutante from New York who makes a trip to Paris one summer and falls in love. And so my goal with the folio is that it tells that story through each panel. So we have our lovely debutante. I'm calling her Eleanor. And she does a ocean voyage from New York to Paris. She sees the sights of Paris. She goes to the opera. And these aren't in the exact right order, but she meets this lovely man, and they first spot each other at the opera. Where is that one? I really thought I had these in order. So they spot each other at the opera. Is it love at first sight? We don't know. And then they have a dance and go on a carriage ride and have tea and coffee. Here's their dance. And then it looks like they go maybe on a coffee date and do a romantic carriage ride. But, you got to have your sister along for the chaperone back in the day. This is 1892. They fall in love. He proposes. They get married. I love this page with all of the letters. Then we have a few background pages, some music background, these florals, so pretty. And then here are the writing pages. Plenty of writing pages for all your journaling spots. I don't know why, but I think this one might be my favorite. I think it's so pretty. I think this is going to go on the cover of the folio with a portrait of Eleanor in the front. One of these two will have a portrait of Eleanor. I'm not really sure which one yet. We'll play with that. And I've printed things out. I may have some extra copies in here. Then we get to the ephemera. And we've got 3 belly bands. I'm going to use this one in the folio, and I've put it on lace and mounted it on some cardstock. But these other 2 belly bands are in the kit. We have a set of large tags, some smaller tags, and there are some mini tags that I did not print, or did I? We'll see. And then we have a great assortment of journaling cards from vertical to horizontal that could be pockets or journaling cards. Some other journal cards. Here's the horizontal ones with the dance and the chandeliers. They're so pretty. Shabby chic is not normally my vibe, but she managed to create one that I'm intrigued by. And I think because it's a little bit more shabby, and with some scorched timber, it almost looks a little bit grunge, which makes me happy. Then we start with the ephemera, and we've got some specimen slides and some cameos and some tickets, some fussy cuts. There's the slides to go in some of those specimen slides. I suppose these could be mini tags or labels, depending on how you want to look at them. And then we have some fussy cuts, some labels, And then I love all these words that we could pop in those labels or use anywhere we want. At the opera, enchanting Paris, mon coeur, correspondence. We have some large pockets and we have some small pockets and we have some envelopes here. And I've already cut one out. I don't know where it went. And then we also have, here it is, this little envelope that I've already put together. And then we have this larger envelope. So that's a pretty good overview of the kit, minus a few pages of fussy cuts and specimens that I didn't print because I didn't think I would use them all in this folio. You can find this kit at the link below and come follow April Storm Studio. Go join her Facebook group. I'm sure she has lots of freebies coming for this kit. She's so generous with her freebies. And she's got lots of fun challenges and projects and prompts for the month. So come check that out. Now, we are going to start our folio, and we are going to make this folio from 4 pieces of 12 by 12 cardstock. I'm using this really dark gray. It's not black, a really nice dark gray here. And we're going to take we're going to do all of our scoring first, then we'll do all of our cutting. So our first page, I want a 6x9 finished folio. So our first page, we are going to score at 9. Then we're going to turn it and we're going to score it at 5 3/4 and 6 1/4. Now we're doing that to create a spine. This is going to be a chunky monkey by the time we're done, and she's going to need a spine. So that's all the scoring that we need for that first sheet. And I'm going to go ahead and garnish those score lines. That's a good spine going. Now, this is a 65-pound cardstock, but by the time we line it with other pieces of cardstock and paper, I think it's going to be strong enough to uphold everything that we're going to put into it. I didn't have a stronger cardstock in this color, and I didn't want to use white or cracked. This one just felt like it needed something a little darker and moodier. All right, so we've got our spine here. I'm going to set that one aside, and we're going to do our second sheet. And again, we're going to score this one at 9. Now, you can decide later, and the reason I'm not cutting this off is you get to decide if you want to use this as pockets or partially as pockets or all of it as pockets. And I'm going to go ahead and score at 6 because we are going to cut this one in half. And these are going to become 2 panels of the folio. So in addition to that 6 1/2, we are going to score at 5 1/2 because we are going to want that 1/2 inch hinge to attach to our cover. And then we also want to go another, that was half. So we want to go another 1/2 inch from 6. We're also going to score at 6 1/2 because again, we're going to need a hinge on each side. Okay. Now, I'm not going to burnish those because this one's going to be a cut line when we move on to that step. So just bear with me and set that one aside for now. Now, sheet 3, this one we are going to cut to 4 by 9. We are not going to score this one right. Actually, we are going to score it, but we need to cut this one first. So we're actually going to cut the next 2 and then score because we're cutting much smaller pieces to create a really nice gate. So let me go ahead and cut these, and then we can put up our scoring board. We're going to cut this one at 4 by 9. Now I'm cutting them at different widths because I want one to overlap the other to create a nice closure on this gatefold. I don't really know if you'd call it you'll see what I'm doing. So we have a 4 by 9. Now you could score and have a pocket here. I am not going to, and you'll see what my plan is. So we have a 4 by 9. And then we're going to do a 3 1/2. by 9, just for a slight overlap. And this is so we can get a really nice closure on our door. 3.5 by 9. All right, I'm going to put these scraps for us to do something else with. And I'm going to go ahead and score these two, and then we'll cut our other ones. All right, so we're going to score at 1/2 inch. Again, these are for hinges. And we're going to score at 1/2 inch. All right, those are all of our score lines. I'm going to put the scoreboard away for now, I believe. I don't think we have anything else we have to score. We've got these cut and scored. We're going to pull out our other papers here. Let's see, that was 1, 2. Yeah, I guess we really only need 3 pieces of paper, not 4 pieces of cardstock. Better use of paper, 3 pieces of cardstock. Okay, now on this one, this is the one that we scored. We wanted to cut at 6. So we're going to cut this one at 6. And we already have our score lines for our hinge. Now you can decide if you want these pockets or not. And then on this one, this was our first sheet, and we did score that at 9. I am going to cut these off, but you could very easily, where'd my scissors go? Where did the scissors go? There they are. Pardon my reach. You could just cut out this middle section, like so. And depending on what you want to do with your folio, you could totally brandish these and use these as your pocket. Now, I've already made my pocket that I want for this inside cover. And so, let me think about this for a minute. I made my prototype earlier and I messed up on it. So, let's see. This is the cover. We open it and then we want our pocket there. Yes, or was it there? No, it goes here. So when I put, this is one of my hinged ones. So no, I do not want either one of these pockets on mine. So I am going to put it back in my trimmer. Now, again, you can keep those pockets if you choose to. I am not going to. I'm going to cut them at 9. And we can use these scraps for something else if need be. We're a little bit long there. Trim that one more time. Right there for a nice clean edge. Great. Okay. So this becomes our base piece. And now what we're going to do is we're going to, you know what? I'm going to cut off this piece, this middle piece. You know what? Let's keep that one. We'll make a new pocket and I'll show you how I want to make my pocket. I want this pocket to look like a ticket. And so we will line that and do that. This is going to be, no, this one too. See, I'm already getting them backwards. Bear with me. I promise all of this will make sense. I've never designed a folio. This is my first one. I usually follow somebody else's. So what we want to make sure that we do is that our hinge is on the correct sides, right? So this is our left hinge. This is our right hinge. I know that I'm not going to use this pocket. So I'm going to trim that one off, but I'm going to keep this one. I am removing the pocket from the right side panel. We are not going to keep that one. All right. I think I have trimmed everything else that needs to be trimmed. Was a trimmer? So we're going to put the trimmer away. All right. So let's see where we're at after all of that confusion, shall we? We have our base with our spine here, a 1/2 inch spine. We have 2 panels that we have cut and scored. I'm going to burnish that score line. Make sure we have a nice, strong, sharp fold there. Okay. And then I'm also going to miter those corners a little bit for a really nice, clean edge. Now, this is going to get mounted here on the inside of this base. And then this one, we're going to burnish this really well and miter the corners. Like so. And this one is going to get mounted on this side. Okay. So let's go ahead and do that. And you can kind of see how this is coming together. Just putting glue here on the end to make sure that it stays glued forever and ever. All right. Now I'm going to turn it this way because it's just easier for me to line up my edges that way. Make sure that that's right at the edge and even, and we don't see any of it coming out the other side. Make sure it's even top to bottom. I think it looks pretty good. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So I have to see things the way they're going to go on. You could lay this flat and glue it, but I have to be able to see the way it bends, or I'm notorious for gluing things on in the wrong spot or backwards. Hence how I messed up the prototype, if I'm being honest. If you're curious about the brain of Trish, though, I was literally messaging April this weekend, and you'll see why. I was staying in this cute little Victorian town called Eureka Springs, Arkansas, and I was inspired by this little Victorian town and all its history from the late 1800s and early 1900s. And so all I had was notebook paper, and so I started playing. Oh, no. Oh, well, it's around here somewhere. I literally started gluing notebook pages together. Oh, here it is. And was messaging April. I'm like, do you want to see my prototype of my design team project? She's all, sure, why not? So now I got to put it back together. There we go. This goes in here. My total janky. So this was my prototype. And I was like, well, here's what I'm going to do on the front. And then when it opens up, here's what it's going to look like. I even had my belly band and my gatefold. This is how my brain works. When you got to strike while the iron's hot. So today I've been trying to replicate this from notebook paper onto cardstock. So welcome to the chaos. All right, here is the base of our folio. Okay, here is our cover. This will have some really pretty paper and a portrait of Eleanor. Then we open it up, and this will start talking about the ocean voyage. And then here we will have, actually, this will be the ocean voyage. This will be more about Eleanor. And then New York, Paris. And we're going to do in this middle section here, this is where our gatefold is going to happen, and these two pieces come in. And we're going to create a really fun, kind of like a French door, like if she's opening the patio doors from her apartment or hotel room, looking out over the city. And then I have all kinds of pockets to store her souvenirs and her trinkets from her trip. So we will have a fold here. Burnish these ends here. And we will have a fold here. Now, I say gatefold in that typically they meet each other, but because we're going to have stuff inside this and I want it to stay closed really well, I have an overlap of about an inch so that I can either put a magnet or a good Velcro dot behind my mechanism, which is going to be this doorknob, right? And so what I want to have happen is I want to put this doorknob on the panel, and I need to strengthen it, but I want to put a Velcro dot or a magnet behind there so that it holds this down. And when we open it up, we'll have stuff behind it. I hope that makes sense. So for now, I'm going to miter these corners again. Let's glue that left side down. Do we want to round the corners on them? Or do we want to keep them square? You know what? We can do it we can do it later too. Now this video is just going to have the construction of the folio. Video number 2 will be starting to line the pages with all of the papers so that we can really start to see that storyline come together. And then video 3 will be all about the finishing touches, the stuffing of the pockets and all of the ephemera. I have lots of fun ideas, from a letter from her aunt to a boarding pass to a passport. I have all kinds of fun ideas in my head that will take some time to make. And so I would imagine, I think this video series, it's probably going to be, it could be 2 videos a week, but my guess is it's probably going to be 1, because I also want to play around in June-tober and creep on June, which I haven't really gotten started yet. Okay, let's see how this is looking. Are we lined up? Quite, not quite. Oh, come on. No, just a little, just a hair. Make sure our folds still work. Make sure our spine is still in good shape and folds nicely. It does. Now, we might have a little trimming to do at the bottom. We can totally do that after we get everything together. You can see that right here, it's a little bit longer than the rest, but we can trim all that up. Perfection is not required. Okay, so this is the folio, and where I messed up earlier was in the folding. And so on this one, I intended for this to be the cover, but unfortunately, where I ended up gluing it didn't work for the spine. And so I ended up gluing the cover here instead of here. Don't do that. Don't pull a Trish. So that is the construction of our folio. And let me just kind of walk you through what's going to happen. We are going to have the cover with Eleanor. And then on the inside, we'll have a little bit more information or another image of Eleanor or some writing space. Then when we open this, right, this will be, see, I did it again. Here's the cover. This is where I keep getting messed up. This is how it happens. Okay. Let's try this again. Woo! All right, this will be our cover. And my idea is it's going to have this paper on the front, on the actual cover. Then we turn it. We have a little bit more information about Eleanor and her trip. And then we're going to open this up, and we are going to start with her ocean voyage. And we're going to have a ticket pocket here that looks something like this. And it'll have travel documents, luggage tags. Then we're going to get to this next section of New York. And this is all about the actual, like, she's headed out from New York. And this will be a belly band here. And behind that, we'll have a travel wallet with all kinds of stuff in it. Then we move on. Here's the idea of the gatefold when we're done. We'll look something like this. Okay. And when we open these doors, we've got scenes from the opera and scenes from Paris and the streets of Paris. And we'll have some pockets here and a fun accordion flip out here. And then on this side is going to start the story of their romance, right? This will be like an accordion envelope, or an envelope, think like love letters and all of that vibe. Then when we close that up, this is going to be the proposal, and the back will be their marriage. I hope that makes sense. I hope you stick with me through it. I think it's going to be a really fun project. So that's the vision. That's the walkthrough of the kit and the structure. And I will be sure to put these measurements below in the description, as well as the link to get the kit. If you have any questions, please let me know. Or if you're inspired to add some input as to what I should do, I would love to hear it. I know I need to add some laces and all kinds of shabby chic fun. So thanks for hanging with me. I'll see you on the next video.